Jerry and Esther have navigational systems in their vehicles, 4 different kinds now. But they all work on the same principle, that there is a computer inside the vehicle, and there are satellites in the sky, and antennas on their roofs, and they program in where they want to be, and the system develops a route between where they are, because the satellites have triangulated their current position, and where they want to be. And then it gives them verbal, sometimes verbal and visual, description of how to get from where they are to where they want to be. Magellan never says, but where have you been? Because it is irrelevant. Magellan never says, well, you know, you asked yesterday and then you didn't listen, and so I'm not going to tell you today. This navigational system has only one function, and that is to figure out how to get from where you are to where you right now currently want to go. And your emotional guidance system is based upon those same 2 factors. Where am I in relationship to where I want to go? Where am I in relationship to what contrast has caused me to say that I want? Now, we want you to understand, most of you don't really get this. And it's so clear to us. We want to keep telling you until it's clear to you. In every moment that you are interacting, you are emitting these preferences. And they are being held for you by your loving inner being or source energy or that which you call God. It does not matter what label you give it, in what we like to lovingly refer to as vibrational escrow. In other words, they are your creation. They've got your vibrational encoding attached. No one else can swoop in and get them away. Those things that are in your vibrational escrow are yours. There are millions of dollars piled up there for you. All of the wonderful things that you've been asking for. In fact, even more wonderful culminations of creations are waiting for you than you could articulate in any point in time. Because you don't remember launching that one when someone was rude and you didn't like it and wanted something else. You don't remember launching that one that morning you woke up and you didn't feel good in your body and you worried that you were getting decrepit and declining, and you launched a rocket of desire that you want to be long and happy living in this physical body. In other words, you've been launching rockets of desires, rockets of desires, rockets of desires since you were laying in your crib. You have been launching rockets of desires, and they are being held for you in vibrational escrow, held for you until you become a vibrational match to them. They never go away. They just become more and more amended to match more fully who you are becoming as you are moving through life experience. In other words, you are fantastic creators. You cannot help but be. This time-space reality causes an inspiration of desires within you, and those desires are fast causing an expansion of the universe. That is happening whether you know that it's happening or not. In fact, you are fulfilling the largest part of your reason for being here in terms of the expansion of the universe without even knowing that you're doing it, because you can't avoid the contrast, and you can't avoid knowing what you don't want, and you can't avoid on all levels of your being knowing what you do want. In other words, step 1 of the creative process happens whether you know that it does or not. Step 2 of the creative process happens without you also, because step 2 says, when you ask, it is given. Source immediately becomes actively, vibrationally in alignment with whatever you have given birth to. So the inner being, the non-physical part of you, is becoming all that you are asking to be as a result of the life experiences that you're living. How good is that? In other words, that's that 99.99% of every creation that's complete before you see the physical evidence of it. In other words, that's that non-physical part of you that has become the vibrational essence of everything that you are asking for. And that vibrational, non-physical essence, inner being, God force part of you is now calling you, calling you, calling you, calling you, calling you toward the fulfillment. So when we say to you that the basis of your life is freedom, and that your objective or purpose must be joy, and that the result is your personal expansion, what we really mean is that Source is calling you toward that already achieved, already realized, joyful state that you have provided the information about. The only question is, step 3, what are you doing about it in terms of your vibrational relationship to it? So, when Source calls you, what do you think it sounds like? Harps? angels singing. Love, joy, appreciation, certainly all of this. Joseph Campbell said, follow your bliss, and he was right on it. Feels like bliss. Feels like frisky. Follow your frisky. Not quite the ring, is it? But you've got to understand that when Jerry and Esther program Magellan or Pioneer or Garmin or whoever it is that they have in their fingers today, as they are programming their navigational system, they are wherever they are. Can you imagine if they programmed in and Magellan, instead of just calculating the route between where they are and where they want to be, figured out where all of you are too in relationship? And then Jerry and Esther saw 250 maps all at once, all about different places. In other words, it would be utterly confusing. But that's not what happens. It's only the relationship between where they are and where they want to be. So as you understand that your guidance system is taking you from where you are, so the question that we want to put out to you is, where are you? Where might you be? So, well, you might be joyful, so it's a short trip. You might be worried about something. You might be afraid of something. You might be frustrated over something. You might be mad about something. In other words, you could be, as a result of what's just happened in your experience or what you've been interacting with, you could be anywhere along this emotional scale. On one end of it are the emotions that feel wonderful, and on the other end of it are the emotions that feel not so wonderful. In fact, they feel awful. And the wonderful feeling emotions are about your perception of freedom, and the awful feeling emotions are about your perception of lack of empowerment. Freedom and empowerment on one end, no empowerment and bondage on the other. Isn't that? Can't you feel in the emotion of fear that it's about your feeling of disempowerment? When you think about that empty feeling that most of those strong negative emotions brings to you, it is empty because it's sort of emptying. You've emptied yourself out of the fullness of that which you could be if you were allowing your full vibrational alignment or connection. So when we get back to this subject of sources calling you, and what does it sound like, we want you to understand that if you're in despair and source is up here beaming this signal of love and joy, through your distorted ears, it's not going to sound like harps, it's not going to sound like love and joy, but it is going to sound like something that feels better to you than the despair and powerlessness that you are currently feeling. For most of you, it's going to feel like anger. And we want you to know that if you focus upon something and you let yourself go with the anger, you have really taken a step in the right direction. Now, those around you aren't going to see it that way, because when you're depressed, you're not as bothersome to them as when you are angry. But if they could feel the improvement that you're feeling, they would know that in that angry step that you are closing this gap. And that's what we want to talk about all day here today. We want to talk about a variety of ways that you can close the gap on any subject that is important to you between where you currently are and where you want to be. Because as you close that vibrational gap, what happens is you begin emitting a singular, powerful signal. Now, why does that matter? Because you're a vibrational being in a vibrational universe. Your action doesn't mean diddly squat. It is your vibrational essence that is your point of attraction. And law of attraction is responding to what you've got going on. So if what you've got going on is being mad about something or worried about something or afraid about something, if what you've got going on is a series of things that are bothering you, one after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other, then law of attraction is just doing what law of attraction always does. It's bringing more things to you that match how you're feeling. And a wonderful thing about being in a physical body is that you don't have to figure it out vibrationally, because sooner or later, whatever you're vibrating on a pretty regular basis is going to manifest. In other words, what you think and what you feel and what manifests are always a perfect vibrational match. You never ever get something that is not an accurate match to the vibration that you've been offering. So you can wait till it's manifested. We call that post-manifestational awareness. And then do your best to clean it up. And we got to say that's going about it the hard way, because once something you really don't want manifests is sort of in your awareness, and it's more difficult for you to distract yourself from it. Doesn't matter, you still can, but we encourage pre-manifestational awareness. We would like you to know well along your route. Wouldn't it be nice if you get in your car and you're on your way and you're going totally in the wrong direction and you drive 5,000 miles before you figure it out? Wouldn't it have been better if you'd figured it out earlier? Jerry and Esther changed drivers one time when they were in Texas, and Jerry is lying in the back seat and Esther is the new driver, and he's looking out the window and he sees a very tall, round Holiday Inn. And Jerry says, "I didn't know there were 2 Holiday Inns in Austin." And Esther began to laugh because she had gone the wrong way on the freeway. They got off to change drivers and she went in the opposite direction of where they were headed. And sooner or later, Esther would have figured it out. But it was nice that Jerry caught it early. They were only 2 miles down the road. So your emotional guidance system lets you know what you're on the way to. You can tell by the way you feel. And there are 2 things that we hope to highlight for you. 2 things that we would like very much that you would find active in your vibration and therefore benefit from for the rest of your life as a result of our interchange here today. First and most important, we would like you to make peace with where you are, because where you are is where you are, and it's just fine. Because if you're mad at yourself about where you are, then it's much harder to close the vibrational gap. If you're not mad at yourself about where you are, but you're just where you are, in other words, wouldn't it be odd if Jerry and Esther got in the car and programmed Magellan, and then Magellan began chastising them about being there? My God, what are you doing there? Have you learned nothing from me? Have I not led you to wonderful place after wonderful place? Why would you go there? And we want you to understand that your guidance and that which is your source is never criticizing you or feeling criticism about where you are. Because the only thing that matters is the relationship between where you are and where you want to be. And source is so where you want to be and calling you toward it that if you'll give yourself a break, if you'll get off your own back, if you'll lighten up a little bit, if you'll give yourself a break, if you'll relax where you are and listen for the call and not expect it to sound like harps, but accept it to sound like relief. Accept it to sound like something that feels just a little better than where I am. Then you'll begin to hear the call of source, and you'll begin to close that vibrational gap, and you'll begin to stop resisting and start practicing the art of allowing, and you'll begin to more often than not offer one signal, and you will begin to offer this powerful signal. And one who is connected to the stream is more powerful than millions who are not. In other words, when you stop scattering your own energy, you're going to be knocked over by the universal influences, by the sequence of conditions and circumstances and others that reveal themselves to you in a constant, steady stream of helping you along the way.